So, moving on. An upset. Giants over Vikings. The Giants and Vikings played this season. And yes, the Vikings won. But the Vikings won on a 61-yard field goal last second. I don't see the Vikings doing it again. I think the Giants are going to come out hungry. They weren't supposed to make the playoffs this year. They weren't supposed to be good. Why not go beat the Vikings, who you already played this season, so you know them enough? And you should have won that game, so you come in with a chip on your shoulder as the Giants, and just you want to win that. You're like, they shouldn't have beat us before. We had that game in our hands. A 61-yard field goal doesn't always happen every day, but you can't look at that game and be upset because you played really well. The Giants, and say if it all depends on Saquon. In reality, Daniel Jones is not a great quarterback, in my opinion. Daniel Jones is a backup quarterback at best. He doesn't have very many weapons. That's not his fault. But I still think he's a better runner than he is a thrower. But the team runs through Saquon. If Saquon has a big game, they beat the Vikings easily. Both these defenses aren't fantastic, but they're not awful. It depends on the game they want to come out, if they want to play. The Vikings lost to the Cowboys 40-3. The Vikings got killed by Green Bay. I don't remember what that score was, but it was close to that. But they also come out and shut people down. They've also come out and kept it close. I don't see how the Vikings can beat the Giants if the Giants come out offensively and play their best. This game is going to be come down to the wire game. Very hard to pick. I like the Giants here over the Vikings. Next, Ravens, Bengals. This one would have been super, super difficult if Lamar Jackson was playing. Lamar's not playing. The Ravens aren't winning. I know it's like, oh, well, it's just one player. It's the quarterback. It's whatever. Like, a lot of backups play. Huntley isn't better than Lamar. Lamar can do way more than Huntley in the run game, in the throwing game. Overall, the Ravens run through Lamar. He's been out for weeks now with a knee injury. I'm not sure if it's a knee injury or if it's getting to his contract, like you didn't pay me, I don't want to play for you type thing. I mean, but the Bengals are going to come out. They're going to win this game. I think a Lamar Jackson-less Ravens don't stand a chance. They barely beat the Steelers. I know the Steelers were playing hard to keep Mike Tomlin above 500, and they had a chance to get to the playoffs. But I don't see how you go and lose to the Steelers and then come out and try to beat the Bengals in the playoffs, especially in Cincinnati, in that hostile environment. One of the best fan bases, especially after what we saw with DeMar with the Bills. Incredible fan base, very respectful, but they're going to be loud. They love this energy. They feel like they're a sleeper team in this playoff. Last year they made the Super Bowl. And now teams were like, oh, the Chiefs are going back to the Super Bowl. The Bills are going to the Super Bowl. Watch out for this Bengals team. If they get hot, especially in this game, and if they roll over the Ravens and beat them by double digits, watch out for this team. Next, my team, the Cowboys versus the Bucks. Yes, I picked the Cowboys. No, it's not bias. I expect us to lose this game as a Cowboys fan. We have 3 wins, 3 playoff wins in my lifetime, and it's hard to imagine we go beat Tom Brady and the Buccaneers in Tampa. But I still think the Cowboys can win this game. I think if Dak just plays with that chip, I know I say chip on his shoulder a lot, but if he plays with that, where people are like, well, you're not having the best season. You're throwing a lot of interceptions. You're not what you used to be after you injured your finger this year against Tampa. I think the game honestly goes through the run game yet again for the Cowboys. You have Pollard. You have Zeke. Can they get it going? Does the bootleg work? If you can get the run game going, you get the bootleg going, that defense comes out and plays. This offense hasn't been great, but they're starting to pick up with Mike Evans. I mean, Tom Brady's very dangerous in the playoffs. Never sleep on Tom Brady in the playoffs. I'm not sleeping on Tom Brady. This is a very close game. This is going to come down to the last quarter, maybe even the last second. Maybe this is a low scoring, whoever has the ball last kicks the game winning field goal type game. This game could go to overtime. The Cowboys are going to find a way, I think, defensively to hold up. I think if the Cowboys offense comes out and does what they've done before that Washington Commanders game, the last game of the season, and they put up 30 points, I don't see why you don't beat the Buccaneers. If you put up 30 points in the NFL, you should have a defense to not allow the other team to score 30 plus points and beat you. So for that reason, I have the Cowboys. Again, it's not biased. I don't see them getting past the second round, but that's why I have the Cowboys or the Bucks. And then obviously I went over my Super Bowl pick. I have the Bills, Niners. Hopefully that holds up. If it gets there, we'll talk about that game later. We'll see who wins this week. We'll see who I got right, who I got wrong. But now we go on and we move on to some coaching. So the Cardinals fired their coach. Kingsbury got fired, well-deserved fired. He hasn't been a great coach. They had that great start a few seasons ago, maybe last season, where they went undefeated for a while, and then they just lost. And then I mean, he's done that a lot, where he wins the first half and loses. This year, he just went 4-13, I believe, or 5-12, or somewhere around there. But Kingsbury got fired. Where does he go from here? As soon as he got fired, I said he's going to Alabama. He's going to be an offensive coordinator. He's going to be a positions coach somewhere at Alabama. Nick Saban loves picking up these coaches. They used to, because Kingsbury used to coach in, I think, Texas Tech, and then he transitioned to the NFL. And then obviously when he gets fired, a lot of times they come back to college, and Nick Saban loves those type of coaches. Expect to see Kingsbury in Alabama polo in some sort of way come next fall. I could be wrong, but I think he stays in coaching. I think he goes back to college, and I think it's going to be Bama. So, McVay, breaking news a few, I think, hours ago. McVay is staying as the head coach. He let the players know for the Los Angeles Rams. I'm not shocked by this. I know a lot of people said that he was going to take a break from coaching. I understand he had a lot of stress after winning the Super Bowl and then going off and having a very bad losing season. But overall, he's been a great coach. He's been he's a young coach who won a Super Bowl. Last year, the Rams went all in. They went all in on winning Super Bowl. They knew that they could repeat, but a lot of injuries kept them from that. Obviously, Stafford, Darnold being out, all these players going down. Cooper Rush going down, not Cooper Rush, Cooper Kupp going down. So the Rams are a good team. They'll have a good team next year. I think McVay overall took a step away, knows, hey, this team needs me. I can't do this to my guys. The family runs deep in the NFL. So McVay staying as the head coach is awesome for that franchise. And the one last thing I want to get on before I ask some questions to if anyone has any questions, legitimate questions. Does Aaron Rodgers retire, or does he just go to a different team? I think he doesn't want to retire on this note. I don't see Aaron Rodgers saying, well, we didn't make the playoffs. The Green Bay Packers aren't really helping me in the receiver category. We could have made the playoffs, but we lost to the Lions the last game of the year. They traded away my best player, or I mean, you know, Devontae left, and I think he wants to win. I don't see him. I mean, it's kind of like Peyton Manning wanting to go out with Super Bowl. Tom Brady should have retired last year after they won the Super Bowl. I don't know why he came back, but they made the playoffs. Aaron Rodgers did not make the playoffs. Aaron Rodgers, I believe, signs with a team that just is a quarterback away from being able to make the playoffs, make a run for a Super Bowl. Who that team is, I have no idea. Could it be the Raiders? Could it be the 49ers? Could it be the Jets? There's a bunch of teams that you can go through and be like Aaron Rodgers. I think you'll see Aaron Rodgers in a football uniform next year one more time, whether he wins or loses. I don't think he wants to go out like this, but the way he was talking in a lot of interviews, it's quite possible that he retires or he could stay with the Packers. I don't see him staying with the Packers unless they promise him that they're going to help him build a team around him and make him go out on a high note. Same thing goes with Derek Carr. Derek Carr announcing he is gone from the Raiders. He is looking for a new team. Who that team is going to be? Jets, Niners. I think it's Jets. I'm leaning Jets. They're that one quarterback away, a veteran quarterback who's not super old, but he's not young. He's mature enough to lead a team, lead a locker room. Um, although I don't really think Derek Carr is as good as people say, I think he can lead a team to win. Does he help the Jets win? I don't think so. I mean, I think they win. They might make the playoffs with Derek Carr, but again, I don't think Derek Carr is all that great of a quarterback, if we're being honest. He's not an Aaron Rodgers who can go out there and throw dimes every throw, almost every throw. I don't want to say every throw, but those are just some of the things that I wanted to talk about. And that's going to wrap up my portion of the podcast. Now, I know chat, I know the people have some questions. If they're legitimate questions, I shall answer them with a straight face. I I know we have some Aaron Rodgers people here who love sports very much. That's not a question. Does anyone have, do you guys have any questions before I stop recording and then kind of talk to you guys for a little bit? If not, never said it was. If not, we're going to wrap it up. The Packers are not my favorite team. We know my favorite team. So, for those watching, my favorite team is the Dallas Cowboys. I said that when I was picking the Bucks Cowboys game. Always been my favorite team. I know a lot of people say bandwagon team, but they only have 3 playoff wins in my lifetime. I don't know how I'm a bandwagon fan when they constantly lose in the playoffs. I think you have to win some more if I'm considered a bandwagon fan. My pick for playoff wins, Bills over 49ers in the Super Bowl. I like the Bucks more. The Bucks. Yes. All right, but for that, I'm gonna wrap up the podcast. We're gonna hang out a little bit. For those of you watching anywhere else, feel free to join my Twitch. It's where this is live, where you can chat it up and hang out while I'm kind of discussing the sports I'd like to talk about, and then hang around for the end. And if you have like a question about, or if you have a statement like, oh, I think this person should win MVP, and we can talk about why your opinion might be wrong.